Okay, let's start with basically the first thing. Let's start with this. So, how many people like here, right? I think everyone here in the energy and utilities. So they know energy and utilities, and why the basic question people are looking into, right? Why now, right? Because I know this particular energy is there for the last like whatever we know, it's 100 years. But why now? Why now is the thing people are really thinking about it, and this is the right time. Why? Because is the demand, you can see, right, the energy everywhere, it's energy. So the energy is growing, and everything, so the demand is growing there. So and the growth is slowing, but the demand is growing in this sense. So means that different sources of getting the energy, whatever it is, it's slowing. For example, you can see the cases like the distributed energy, which is the right now the latest buzzword people are talking. Like, yes, what is the different sources of energy is renewable energy, which is solar. I think everyone knows that is there is a growing and booming sector in the market right now. And your depletion, the non the fossil fuels are depleting, the coal is depleting. So there should be so many other sources like the renewable energy sources are rising. If you see the statistical growth, right, the 2020 is a benchmark. People are saying that there will be more generation of solar, wind, the renewable energy generation. So, so there is a lot of that is the term known as a distributed energy. So there are a lot of distribution energy kind of things are growing. And so how do, like, that's what the term basically people talk about is mainly on the smart grid. I am assuming that people at least know what is energy and the jargons, because I see a group of people who are really interested. I see that whatever jargons I am using, people are aware of that term. If not, please message me. I'll share that thoughts to you, like a basic intro on that. So the smart grid kind of thing is coming up, right? When this case, right, is there are a lot of technologies on the grid to make it smart, right? Like the basic example, I'm talking about the distributed. So when distributed is done in a different ways of renewable, how my grid can be smart. So what are the technologies? I know that because most of the people right now here are interested. What are the technologies are involved to become the grid as a smart, rather than understanding why grid is smart, right? Why smart grid? So that is the other area of a grid. Smart grid is more on the domain side. But as a technical guy or the technology guy, as a transformation guy, you always like to know what are the technologies involved to make it as digital. So in that perspective, right, there is one is like which is booming sector. At least if you are looking at this energy efficiency, because today people are really looking at this. Okay, there is a demand of energy, so I cannot build on generating energy, like whether it's a source of any coal or source of any fossil fuels or source of any renewable, because the cost is involved. So what are the better ways today? So if you see the annual growth of this energy efficiency, the Western markets are also growing. And to give an Indian perspective, that is what we observed in the last 6 months is it's growing enormously. There's a lot of momentum in the energy efficiency. Like, how do I conserve my energy? What are the different ways? And what they are doing in the energy efficiencies, people are bringing digitalization into energy efficiency, because until now energy efficiency is more of the manual, and energy efficiency people are really looking into the digital ways. Okay, how my digitalization or how are the technologies can come and tell to the people. Like I think most of the people might have here smart homes, smart buildings, smart industries, like industry 4.0. So you people, lot of things are coming up, especially to maintain this energy efficiency. So how do I conserve my energy? How do my what are the different ENCON, we say energy conservation options we have to save my energy? So these are the areas, right? There are a lot of more areas in the digital transformation of kind of things. But I thought, right, so let's go with the momentum, right? I see these are the areas where uh, it's growing very popularity right now, and you see a lot of demand growth in this particular areas. So bottom point, if I want to say, right, at this point of time in the Indian market and the global market, you see energy efficiency is the term, right? The revenue thing and the implementations is growing. So the energy efficiency is growing. So for when you say energy efficiency growing, so what are the different digital things you have, right, in this particular aspect? Okay. So what are the different ones? Just I'm going to the next slide. Okay. So I don't know, like how many people have heard this term, or like are new to this term, or like haven't heard this term at all until now. But this is the future, right? Every enterprise solutions, every non-enterprise solutions, every business should undergo to business transformation, which is the digitalization. So at least which has initiated now, and at least, right, if you see in the next 5 years, you will see a total business transformation. So when you see what are the business transformation, right, here you can say, right, how, the more the digitalization you see, the more the revenue. So what I have divided into different three experience, like so most of the things, right, today everyone has a smartphone, everyone has an iPad, everyone has every digitalization, right? Your TV is becoming digitalized, so everything is becoming digitalized. So how it will be the customer experience, right? It's mainly on the customer perspective, right? What is my business, like and what is my operations, which is on operations. So how all I can compete with my IT perspective, right? I have what are the IT technologies I can embed into all these uh, business channels and make it more oriented to the digitalization. So this is what you see going forward, at least in the next 5 years. If you can project yourself how digital transformation will change the business, this is the way it will follow. And there are other lot of paths, right? They're like digital maturity, digital implementation. So that is what the implementation methodologies are there. What is the processes you are followed, which I'm not going to cover in detail about that. But in this particular things is how energy and utilities are linking to the business world, and later what are the technologies involved into that. What are the means? I know most of the people might have know that, but what are the technologies involved into that? And at the end, I'll give like I'll give you a business case which I am using, which we are working on that. How to make like for example, a building is there. How to make a smart building with the technologies involved. So, so yeah. So anyone have any questions? Please use the chat board. What I suggest is please respond to that questions so that at the end I can give you the answers, or else also at the end you can ask me the questions. That's fine. Okay, so I think this is what it's more evolving into the digital technologies. Like there are other terminologies. I don't want to go in it, like because we have one more sessions on that, like the smart grid and IoT kind of thing, which are the new buzzwords in not only in the IT world, in the energy and utilities world. It's in any world you have that. IoT is a basic word nowadays. Everyone is buzzing out. So, but what I have given in this case is why I have given this particular digital transformation analytics perspective is because now every energy efficiency, like I have taken this example of energy efficiency only. So every energy efficiency is ending into the analytical world. Like today's everyone, why might be knowing, right, what are the different types of analytics, right? Descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. So I don't use the term analytics, but I say that descriptive utilities, right? Predictive utilities. So if you can just see that, like take an example of in like in the entire process, I can give you one example of like I want to do an energy efficiency, right? I want to conserve or like an example for any take any example of an hospital, right? So for example, I have to conserve some techniques I have to tell and make it more productive. Like for example, how my HVAC is doing, for example. All right, my AC unit is doing, like how can I conserve, right? Like those are all equipments with their motors. How my efficiency is doing there? How do I manage the efficiency? So these all things what is all about getting the more of the descriptive side, and then also, right, so how much I can predict, right, whether my equipment, which is an asset to me, how my equipment is doing right now, like what is the forecast of my equipment, right? Like based on the age, right, can I do an asset analytics, can I do an equipment analytics, can I do an asset performance, how do I see, and also I have, can I do any customer service responsibility? So these are all more related to the predictive side. But at the end, right, the last is the prescriptive, where I can, okay, where I can just, okay, where I can just make sure that whether I'm able to give that particular prescriptive kind of thing to the customer, and whether I'm just making sure that whether prescriptive is coming into the picture. So these are all the things which comes as a descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. I think, right, because of the audience. I assume that people are aware of this kind of technology because I see a data science guy doing that. So I see at least, right. So this digital transformation based on the analytics world is merely related to your transmission, distribution, and how do I operate, right? For example, the hospital kind of how do I operate my operational efficiencies. Okay, so and then I think it's a fancy world, right? So everyone, I think this particular slide is seen by everyone, at least in this world, like in this digital world, like everyone, because this is entire architecture of big data and cloud. So I think, right, so everyone, like maybe I think people might know that, but I'll give you a little bit of intro on the why. I'll take an example and how this is applied to the utilities world. So today you see the entire utilities world is moving into a smart meter world. Means everywhere you see, whether you take the US world, whether you take the Europe, or like India is upcoming with a kind of smart meter. So now they want to replace all our meters in the energy and utilities with my smart meters, so that they can get the consumption history of each and every customer every minute. It can be every minute, every second, or every 30 minutes, or every hour, whatever you want. Like bottom point is they want to get the data every time. Okay, so so when this I see one join. Can you please mute your audio? I could hear some background noise, please. Okay, so yeah. So when I say this, that's what I say the big data architecture, right? So people understand this. I think most of the people understand this, right? So what are the structured and unstructured, right? So most of my data is structured. Like for example, you take any today's data is a more of structured, and one more terminology is there, like semi-structured. Like so unstructured is like made mostly your Facebook data, mostly your Twitter data and everything. Mostly semi-structured is XML data. So my meter data will comes under XML data. So this all data, like why big data in utilities, which is gaining popularity today in the market, is you can imagine every meter. If my utility world is asking to me to get a small kind of meter every minute or every second, you can see the huge amount of data coming and storing into our databases. But today's most of our traditional databases like Oracle might not be capable of holding this huge amount of data. And also it doesn't have any unstructured data coming and do that. So now what exactly is happening in the utilities world is they're going and deploying big data, right? There are a lot of references in it at least in the Western countries, not in India. India is just coming up in this because the basic background for this is you should have a smart meter. So the Western world, you can see US and Europe are like most of the big utility companies are already deployed with the big data. So, but big data, there are two things. One is Hadoop, which is a batch processing, and there's a Spark, which is a real-time processing. So now recently, like I say, for the last 1 year, people are really implementing a Spark technologies on the big data because of the new real-time processing, fast processing, and it is because you can imagine billions of records with the smart meter data. So these all are really coming up into this world of big data, but it's growing, as I told you, right? So and everything of top of this, everything should be cloud. Means the cloud option, right? You should be on premise. Your data should be on premise. It can be on cloud. It should be an option of a hybrid, which is an on cloud, on premise. So everything everyone knows, right? Tomorrow the future is about cloud. There's no on-premise solutions. At some point of time, you have to get this particular option. Okay, so yeah, so yeah, so what I will do is the next 10 minutes I will take you to this digital transformation business case, right? So this is what a typical example of how we have implemented, and we are implementing in one of the hospitals, what we are doing here, right? So what we are trying to do is a smart building. If you Google it, you will see the smart building has the smart building thing has a wider scope of things, right? If you want to do one thing, right, you can see today's market is everything about smart cities. You can see the entire world is talking about smart cities. In one of the smart cities is one of the wing is smart grid. In one of the wing of smart grid is one of the wing is smart building. Smart buildings, smart homes, and everything. So for everything to be connected, these all should be in place. Like the what are the all technologies we talk about in any digital world. If I ask you, right, the Internet of Things, the big data, analytics, cloud, visualization, and mobile. So all these technologies combined to an industry. For example, I'm talking about energy and utilities. I will talk about smart grid. If it can be healthcare, it can be retail, it can be any other industry. So in this particular case, right, so we are working more closely on an example. One is a smart building. We are doing with a smart building for one of the hospitals. We are implementing a industry 4.0. We are implementing a smart industry for one of the manufacturing and process industry, and we are doing a smart homes. I think everyone knows what about a smart home, like home automation. I'm talking about home automation, building automation, and industrial automation. So these are the three things. If you try to do all these things, one part of your smart cities and one part of your smart grid, right? Smart grid as a higher level, because in India at this point of time we can only say a 10% of smart grid, which is nothing but your automation. But apart from this, right, you have a transmission automation, distribution automation. So there are a lot of automation technologies which maybe India in the near future might have get it that particular aspect. Okay, sorry for the background noise if anything comes up. Okay, so like take this digital transformation business case. So let's take this business case. Today, what is the problem statement? Why digital transformation? The problem statement in today's market, especially in this, is everything is manual. Everything is manual. For example, today you are at your home. You want to see the bill. Like at the end of the day, you see your bill and says that, okay, my previous bill is some X rupees, and this month I am having Y rupees. We don't know why. Like every time you'll think that, oh, where did it went wrong? So if I make a home automation, will I get more insights about my data, insights about my appliances? So that is the future. But in India at this point of time, smart homes is not really picking up. Whereas like in the Western world, where Google is coming with Nest, Apple has recently announced with smart homes. Every app, every company, every consulting or every company is jumping into the smart homes, especially in the Western world. But India, it will take some time for the smart homes. But picking up is industries. Like already there are industries which is which people are mostly talk about your SCADA kind of thing. The SCADA software is there. So a lot of softwares are there to automate. But the other, hello, hello, hello. I think there's some network issues because of that. I could not able to connect to the people. I think now everyone can hear it, right? So I hope. Okay, let's go back to whatever I just stopped there. I think now. Uh, okay, so just give me a couple of seconds. Let me. Take, I could see Abhishek joined. Got. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I got now. Let me share the screen. Perfect. Now, okay. Sorry for the inconvenience, guys. There's some network failure happened, so it took some time for me. Yeah, no, right. Uh, happens sometimes here. Okay, so let's continue with my discussion. Yeah, Shashank. See, there are also in the entire smart grid, smart building, smart homes kind of things, right? See, I'm coming into that, right? Here I've just given you a business case. This is a high level which I'm talking about. The kind of uh, high level description I have given to you is how the technologies happen into the smart grid, smart building into the. See, when you talk about the smart meters world kind of thing, right, which I have been explaining to you, right, the meters world is kind of today the basic problem which I mentioned it is the data is today most of the meters are manual meters. Someone should come and meter the read. So, but now with the new invention of this IoT technologies, which is the Internet of Things technologies, to make it more automation, to make it more remote, this IoT is gaining popularity in the energy and utilities. So for example, in my smart buildings, right, I can embed my the chip, what is a sensor, what for example, I don't know whether how many people have the terms like there are new chip technologies like it can be an Arduino's, Raspberry Pis, kind of different technologies can be embedded into my meter, right, to make it, that's what which I mentioned here, like the signals, right, which can be more of Wi-Fi, which is a kind of Zigbee. I can add a Zigbee to that and then make it communicable to the IT world. I can push the data into the cloud application. So that is gaining popularity. The only drawback today's people are looking at is long range connectivity, because the Wi-Fi which I'm talking about is in the limited bandwidth, right? The one has limited length. So can I go for a long range? What are the technologies I have to use for long range? So that particular thing is happening on this case. So that's what I'm also mentioning, right? So we are working on this. Once that is done, I want to have a one face-to-face kind of thing where I want to show this as a demo piece or a proof of concept, so that people can really understand, right, how whatever theoretically we are talking can be seen live to visualize the things. So this where the IoT. So we push the data into today's. We are not using much of the big data, but we still use the big data technologies. Like we use the different database technologies. Like we use MySQL, we use Postgres, we use MongoDB, kind of database technologies to push the data into the database. From the database, we are just pulling the data and then getting the data using the different web technologies, using our UI, which is a user interface. We are just coming up. We have used our Node.js and we have used our AngularJS kind of technologies to pull the data. And at the end, right, we used D3 kind of visualization on top of it to show it on the dashboards. And we have used only the Android application. So this is all our application. We have used the technologies we have used to do an end-to-end, like pulling the meter data, and finally on top of it. Addition to that, to give my asset analytics, like to give a value to my, whether it is a prescriptive, predictive, or whatever technologies, we have used R into embedded R into our solution to make it more of a predictive kind of thing. Okay, I want to forecast my consumption. Like for example, there is a customer, there is what is my forecast? What is my month end forecast? How the, like I have used analytics and then say that, okay, what is the age of my machine? What is the age of my equipment? Like whether it will fail in the next 5 years, like based on like if I'm using more load, if it fail in the next 1 year or next 5 years. So that kind of things we have embedded into thing, and we are deploying it. So these are all the different technologies we are using into our business case, into our solution to make it more digitalized. So at the end, right, we are showing everything on the cloud to the client. So client at any point of time, anywhere in the world, can connect to our cloud application and they can see, visualize. And also we are giving it to a mobile, so that tomorrow maybe the mobile will not give you a high end kind of thing, but it will give you some alerts, right? okay, my machine is not performing well, like please switch off your machine. So we are giving a remote control facility so that they can remotely control their machines. So everything we are delivering it at, and then we are looking at delivering it at a low cost effective solution. So those are all the things to talk about the application, the business case kind of thing which we are doing right now. So this is only about a smart building. Like this is what I have given a business case. But parallelly, there is an example like which uses smart grid, right? So smart grid is more at the high level where you have to use a SCADA PLC kind of thing. If it is smart homes, right, we are planning to deploy like a smart plugs kind of thing where it can embed into each and every appliance of our thing, and then capture the data. So many things are still evaluation phase apart from these things. So in due course of time, I'll share whatever I have in this case, right? But the detailed things, what kind of, like for example, in the smart home, right, in smart meters, what I have done, it will be detailed in detail if you want, right? We have a follow-up session which I'll tell you what are the things technologies in detail have used, like for example of IoTs, right? So in the IoT, what kind of like I have used, like is it an Arduino I have used, or like any other Wi-Fi order, like I've used a Zigbee kind of thing, what type of Zigbees I have used, and what type of communication protocol I have used, like if it is a server-side scripting, what type of server-side scripting code I have used to deploy it into my mobile, deploy into my desktop, or deployment to UI, or deployment to my database, right? And then later we are working with the Hadoop kind of thing right now, but we are planning to go for the Spark kind of thing also because it's more of the real time. So that will be one session. And also we have used an R into our solution, so mostly it's an R kind of analytics, and mostly and then the visualization here we are using D3 as a visualization tool. And so one session I'm planning to give entire details of the D3 kind of thing, what is D3 and what are the different visualization tools. So at the end, right, maybe before I show my face-to-face kind of thing to you, at least people are familiar with the entire different technologies which are into in energy utilities or in a smart grid perspective, so that once it is shown, right, people can understand, okay, this is the data goes from one to one, and at the end they can visualize or see the value out of it. Okay, so with this, I'm going to stop, complete these particular things. So if you people have any kind of questionnaires uh, to discuss, please share the questionnaires to me. Like we can discuss on that, and then anything it will be on the follow-up sessions. Okay, so anything you people have any questions, please uh, raise your through chat, raise your questions through chat so that I can explain that. I know one of the example they have given you the IoT. I know that it was asked. So IoT is a very basic thing, right, which I have discussed here. We are using that kind of technologies to communicate the world from from the meter to the database system or to the cloud application, whatever it is. Uh, See, the savings as of now, today there are two things here, right? One is the savings part, one is the control part, and other is the, we say, responsibility. We say customer responsibility. It's a social responsibility. So based on the smart meter technologies which we are giving to the customer, right? So there they will see the time of use, the efficiency mode of each and every appliance. So each and every appliance, when they see, right, if the efficiency is decreasing, for example, by seeing the consumption, right? So I we will give a pattern, like they will see the pattern on the efficiency mode. Okay, for example, it is consuming more. Like for example, until maybe so it has to, for example, the typical you can take the refrigerator. The typical refrigerator should consume as a 6 amps kind of thing, right? The typical case of a is a 6 amps. It is the current is consumed. So at like assuming that, right, 24/7, it has to be 6 amps, 6 amps, 6 amps. But due to a motor failure or motor rust or motor dust or something, maintenance came up. So the motor running, right, is taking more amps to run the motor as an efficient. So instead of 6, it is taking a 7 amps, right? So in this particular chart, or like they will see, right, on a particular day, previous day to day comparison, it is taking more current. Now people will realize that, oh, okay, there is some maintenance thing, I have to do it, right? So there's a problem on that. See, at this point of time, see, everything is cost. If I ask you, right, Wi-Fi, Zigbee, right, it depends on the cost, right? See, for example, we always go for a Zigbee kind of thing because it's industries, right? We industries always prefer to be Zigbee because Zigbee has the communication protocol, carry forward of data if there is a failure of the data. So we always have this particular transmit of data through a Zigbee, right? So, but definitely, again, right, it all depends on the cost. So you can go with the Wi-Fi kind of thing, but the reliability of the Wi-Fi is there can be some data loss issues which maybe people will not be appreciated to that. So my answer will be Zigbee. Okay, I know, because IoT is a buzzing word. I know there will be a lot of questions on the IoTs only because I think now the market is driven more on the IoTs, right? So because the front end application is good, like the back end application is good because meters doesn't change. There is a smart meter, so only the meter should be smart. So that's what, right? So we are also still working on the IoT phases, like how things can be. Yeah, Zigbee has range. Zigbee is good. That's what we found it out in the Zigbee. At least because of the carry forward option with the Zigbee option, it doesn't care, right? Within the ranges, it will carry that particular to, like, at least I say that 300 to 500 meters. That's what the range today's people are talking about. That's what I'm talking about, a smart home and smart building. So I'm not talking this Zigbee to a smart industries. I'm talking about a Zigbee to a smart building. So smart buildings within the range, you can talk about from 100 meters to 300 to 500 meters. So you have to, like, that's what I mean to say, right? So IoT is evolving, it's 100%, right? Because if you say 1 year back, you can see, right, when IoT was really booming and buzzing, there is not many things what we are talking about, the new technology, like I don't know how many people know Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, and the new technology. So every day everyone is coming up. Like today you can take, right, SAP is introducing their IoT platform, Oracle has their own IoT platform, Google has their own IoT platform, Microsoft, everyone is jumping into the IoT platform, right? So you see a lot of things happening, and which I would like to share, right? I mean, anything up, like we come up with a Zigbee and a Wi-Fi. Tomorrow we are planning to do an RF connectivity to our solution, and we are connecting to a non-communication port also. Like if I have a non-communication port, so how that can be communicated to the external world. So things we are working on that. Anything would like to share that in the follow-up sessions. So please look into my meetups, right? So and then definitely shortly I would like to have a demo so that people will really appreciate the thinking, the discussions, to show it in a end-to-end scenario. Okay, any more questions before I wind it up? So okay, I think everyone are okay. I think I'll wind it up. So thanks everyone for attending this session, and let's keep tuned for anything. I'll keep the sharing of that, any information I come across, and then let's keep connected. Okay. Thanks everyone for your time. Thank you all. Bye for now.